Hey everyone, Coach Logan. This video is meant to be a for instance. So this is just a one day of eating, allowing people to kind of see what it is that I actually consume within the day. Hopefully you're able to glean some things for yourself that you can find beneficial, whether that's ways to get more protein, quality of foods, ideas on things that you can actually eat throughout the day, maybe convenience factor. I do focus a lot on convenience, but I do eat a lot of my meals at home. So take that with a grain of salt, especially if you're low in electrolytes. But let's start with don't laugh, Abby. Jeez. So let's start with the morning routine. So as you can see here, I'm starting my morning with water. The water is the most important bit. So getting towards some reverse osmosis, very important to fill that up, have that. But allowing that to fill up, the water drop system is pretty good. Gets the parts per million down pretty low, makes it taste fresh, especially if you are consuming lots of water, which you should be. I roughly get somewhere between 1 to 2 gallons per day, mostly because we'll see at the end the amount of fiber I consume. If I did not consume that much, it would kind of lock me up. So my morning routine, I have some pills. I have them organized into times of the day and the days themselves. Now, these are things that I have figured out over time. This isn't something I just immediately jumped into because that is a lot of pills, but I figured out what works best for me. So, for my morning pills, what I normally take is a caffeine pill up to 400 milligrams total, a allergy pill, a digestive enzyme, and L-lysine, which is helpful for skin or preventing cold sores, especially in the wintertime as lips crack. Moving on to what my pre-workout is going to be and what it is each morning. So as about 5:30 at that time, I have citrulline malate, TMG, and creatine. Specifically, I use that for saturating the muscles, so being able to be stronger during my workouts, but also for the mental health component. There's a lot of cognitive benefits that's being shown more recently, and I'm sure there's gonna be more studies that come out. But 10 to 15 grams is kind of what I get per day on my creatine, and I just make sure that I take that every single day, no matter what, without fail. The TMG is in the form, well, betaine in the form of TMG. It helps for methylation. So if you're a poor methylator, you can look up what that means. It's kind of helpful for that, but there's also some other benefits for performance potentially within the betaine. Take about 2 grams, 3 grams. I don't get too particular with it. I do put it on the scale and weigh it, but if it's 3 grams one day, same with the creatine if it's 10 to 15 grams. And then with the citrulline malate, that's good for endurance training more than anything else. So CrossFit specific or hitting higher repetition with an hypertrophy. It does help for the buffering and being able to do more repetition. But having these in these glass containers allows for them to be out in the world. So I'm able to see these things. So James Clear, make things easy. If you see it, it's going to be easy. So I have these things out here in these nice glass, pretty containers already pre-portioned. So I just have to pop them open and then scoop in what I need for my pre-workout. Moving on to just before working out, I'm going to take some electrolytes. So that's Relight. It's just really good for the scoop, the cost. That's why I got it. Element's a good one as well. Make sure that it has enough sodium. That's one of the main things that kind of gets underdosed. So I do 1 to 1.5 scoops with that in my intra workout drink. So whatever water I'm having, I'll just mix it in there and have that as part of my workout beverage. Many of flavors to choose from. I ended up having a meeting that morning with a delivery driver. He was dropping some stuff off. So workout that I did that morning was cut a little short. Ended up getting a little bit later in the day. So then I had my first meal at 9:03. For the first meal, it was a partition of eggs. So I ended up having some eggs. I'll give you the macros in macro factor and a screenshot at the end so you can kind of see what the protein intake was. And then total ingredients, but some eggs, some egg whites, some keto bread, and then a multitude of cheeses. Because if you're not having cheese, what are we doing? Fat-free cheese, great one. And then the creamy pepper jack from Aldi, great, both low-fat versions. So generally, just how I kind of concoct the whole smorgasbord of breakfast. Spritz the pan with olive oil. Keep the heat on low. Gas burners, lovely. Keep it on low because there's a low flash point, smoke point for olive oil. Get it to a good temp. Crack the eggs, and then from there, so 2 eggs. Push in some egg whites to fill in the gaps. Throw some salsa on top because you can never have enough salsa. This is how kind of I get my vegetables for the most part. It's a lot of salsa. It is so much salsa. And then a good source of sodium because I am a high sweater. I won't say a quality source of sodium, but it is a bountiful source of sodium. Then put all that cheese on top. Have some low carb tortillas as well. How I'll partition it is generally keeping that yolk on its own, and the yolk, because it's going to be a little bit runny, I'm going to put that on the keto bread because the keto bread is a little bit drier. Make sure there's enough cheese, making sure there's enough salsa, and then partition it out, get it in its own space. And then the egg whites are going to go onto the tortillas. And here are the macros for that. Pretty good quality of macronutrient hitting: 86 grams of protein, 21 fat, 80 carbs. Most of those carbohydrates are coming from fiber. The 86 grams of protein blended in with that good portion of fat and the fiber is going to make sure that it's slowly digesting. Naturally, the dairy proteins themselves are going to be slower digesting because there's a lot of casein in that, but the fat and the fiber on top of that's going to make it to where it is slower digesting. And for those of you that wanted to see it in slow-mo, continuing on, it's approximately 11:36 in the day, approximately exactly 11:36 in the day, and I'm taking my afternoon PM-ish pills, my noon pills. So there is a fish oil, 2 fish oil, vitamin D, digestive enzyme, and a multivitamin. The multivitamin, just to make sure that I'm getting all of the gaps filled for what I might be missing micronutrient wise. The vitamin D, because it's Pittsburgh in the wintertime and you're probably all very low in vitamin D, and the fish oil for cardiovascular health for the most part and seasonal depression for some people. I do take about 2 grams of fish oil per day. It does recommend 3, but the EPA DHA is a pretty good ratio for me. If it were taking 3, it'd be about 2 grams of all that stuff. Look up the recommendations that are necessary for you. Be your own person, but that's what I figured is best for me. So making sure that I'm getting hydrated again, using that reverse osmosis to fill up my water jug. I have many jugs, as you can tell, full of water, because that is one of the most important things for nutrition. From there, I went to go work a little bit. I like working at coffee shops, so I went to Starbucks, got a cortado with skim milk. Very minimal in the calories, it's just skim milk. So cortado, espresso. Try not to get liquid calories would be my best advice for anybody that's trying to lose weight. If you're trying to gain weight, liquid calories all the way. Now we're coming up on 1:40, which is my lunchtime. At least today it was. So I got a giant bowl. What goes in that giant bowl? Those strawberries. Some of those didn't make it in there. So fill it up, get it up to however many grams necessary that I feel like I want to do for that day. It's usually like 600. So you like to get to about a 1-to-1 ratio with my Greek yogurt to strawberries. I will add some keto bread into it. You'll kind of see what that does later. Nuking the strawberries. So what I do is usually about 2 minutes to start, and then I will shift it around, give it a little toss, and go about 30 seconds to a minute until they're all evenly cooled off. Add that yogurt, get it all in there. From after adding all that yogurt, getting to where I want it to be, I add Splenda, usually about 15 grams for that 600. Gets me to a good sweetness. You can use any other sweetener that helps for you. Check, make sure that doesn't cause any ill effects. The erythritols, the sugar alcohols, can cause diarrhea in excess, so be careful. You can lose weight that way for sure, but it's one would deem not healthy in the most direct sense. So give it a little toss, mix it in, get it to a good base, and then I go ahead and get my keto bread out, set it up in 2 little pyramids because it's cute, but also so it can dry. So also so it can cool. Once it's cool, because I don't want to toss hot toast into frozen strawberries and Greek yogurt, I have a little piece of cutter and I use that to slice. Maybe that's satisfying for some. And then across. Fun fact, I used to work at Pizza Hut for about 5 years, and we used to work at another pizza place for about 2 years. I used to be a masterful pizza cutter. We used to use the rocker cutters too. Then, once those cubed out keto breads are tossed in, I will go ahead and mix those in accordingly, and that gives a bountiful amount of food. Several pounds of food. You can kind of see with the grams. Use your grams, multiply times 2.2, get you your total in pounds, and that's a lot of food. So if you're ever having issues feeling full, adding some strawberries, keto bread, Greek yogurt can do it. Yes, I do use mixing bowls for most of my food and cutting boards. It's just what it is, man. And for the nutrients there, so you can see with the bread, with the Greek yogurt, with the strawberries, that's probably about 1.3 grams. So multiply that times 2.2. It's pretty high for total volume in pounds. From here, the last meal that I had of the day was actually at 9:13 p.m. Yeah, it's very late. So with the mobility that we've had in the evenings during the week, sometimes I just kind of got up to get home. But one of the main things that I tried to do is have something prepared. So I had rice already in the fridge. So all I had to do was add some cheese to it. So adding that fat-free cheese, adding the spready cheese, added enough protein to it, and using those low-carb tortillas. So the total was pretty easy. Total macronutrients also on top of the day. So I also had some pretzels, a couple of the Skittles candy canes, which are delicious, and then the total macronutrients there. And then actually had some nuggets from Chick-fil-A, 3 of them. So that is the total for the day. easily 235 grams of protein. Didn't think twice about it. Fat was generally low. Carbs was 418, but the total fiber was 175 grams. Now, what this can feel like is if you're standing outside of a hot spring and you decided to jump into the hottest one immediately and you had no preference or preparedness for it. Similarly, a thing that might not murder you if you did this into a ice bath. So I started off at like 70-degree water and slowly I pushed myself down to the lower temperatures that's closer to freezing when it comes to this analogy. For you, this looks like 32 degrees. You're jumping straight into an ice bath because it's 235 grams of protein, which is basically optimal. The carbohydrates are low and then basically full fiber, and the fat in its own is pretty optimal for me. Now, figure out what it is that you are doing now and just do a little bit better. The protein, maybe it's getting up to 100 grams, maybe it's getting up to 120 grams, whatever the recommendations you and your coach figured out, or you can look it up on the internet. Fiber wise, these are all slow things that I've introduced into my nutrition. Same thing with the supplementation. I've figured out over time what has worked best for me and make small tweaks over time that have accumulated into these bigger gains and bigger habit changes. So that is just a representation of that. Having preparedness, having these things, having these meals ready. But I've figured out along the way what I was sucking at and what I needed to do better at for my goals specifically. And those are the things that have accumulated over time. So it's not jumping right into doing exactly what I'm doing, but taking something from what I've been doing and seeing if there's a way that you can implement it that aligns with your goals. All right, let me know if you have questions, subscribe. We're gonna do a pantry edition, so just sifting through the pantry and sifting through the fridge. That'll be for myself, and then if any other coaches wanna do it, we'll get them on that. Comment if you have any questions, leave them in there, and then we can kind of chat on it if you need help. And then if there's anything, suggestions that you have that are kind of helpful that people could read below that you get for higher protein, be able to get good habits or things that you've found to improve yourself towards the direction that you've wanted to be for your goals, leave those in the comments below. I think it'll be helpful for other people. But until next time.